Hey friends, my name is Bahroz. I'm a finance executive and a career coach. Welcome to the channel. This is where we dive deep into career growth and how to win in the professional world. In today's video, we are tackling one of the more challenging assessment you might face in the job application, the SHL Inductive Reasoning Test. Now, I will break down exactly what to expect, walk you through the sample questions, and more importantly, show you how to solve them fast. Because let's be honest, speed matters just as much as accuracy in these tests. Now, here's the thing. Unlike verbal or numerical reasoning, this test is entirely visual, no math, no text, just patterns. It's designed to assess how well you can think logically, spot trends, and work through problems in a structured way. Skills that are critical for analytical or problem-solving roles. Now, let's get rolling into the questions. Now, there are typically two types of questions that you will see. The first one that we will tackle is sequence questions. You'll be shown a series of shapes that follow a pattern. Your job is to figure out what comes next. Patterns could involve rotation, shading, size, or shape changes. I'll walk you through a few examples. Here is our first sample question. There is a pattern in the color of the triangle, black, gray, white, black, gray, so the sixth one should be white. This way we can eliminate A and D. Now let's agree on the direction of triangle. It seems the triangle is rotating counterclockwise, so the next direction of the triangle shape would be the base pointing left and the pointed part pointing right. This way we can eliminate B. Now let's look at the color of the two small dots. As the triangle moves counterclockwise, the two dots move with it, but the color switch, that is, black one becomes white and white one becomes black. This means in our sixth figure option, the color of the dot on the top will be black and the dot at the bottom will be white, which is option E, so option E is the answer. Next sample question, let's break this down. First, look at the small dot. It moves one step at a time going clockwise. So in each new frame, it just goes to the next segment easy. Now the big dot moves a bit faster. It jumps two segments forward, also going clockwise. So while the small dot takes small steps, the big one skips ahead. Next, the color of the segments is also part of the pattern. The first time a dot lands on a segment, it turns light green. If a dot lands on that same segment again, it becomes dark green. So every time a segment gets visited, the color shows how many times it's been hit. Now if we follow all these patterns, where the dots move and how the colors change, the only option that fits is A. So the correct answer is option A. Now, an important call out, the best way to improve your test scores is to practice. So I went on the web and found this wonderful website that has all the sample tests and practice tests which mimic the original SHL test. I highly recommend checking it out. I'll leave the link in the description so you can check them out and practice right away. Next sample question. Here, like in the first question, the approach is to pick on shape and see how it is changing. So we start with the big circle. It seems that it is rotating clockwise by 90 degrees, which means if we take the last fifth shape and rotate it clockwise by 90 degrees, we will have the three options B, D, and E. So that way we can eliminate A and C. Now let's see the behavior of the two triangles. We pick the black one. Black triangle rotates 90 plus 45 degree, that is quarter of circle, and then half a quarter clockwise, which means after fifth image in the sixth image, it should be at top left corner, which is the case only in option D out of the ones that we did not eliminate. So D is our answer. But wait, I would like to verify it with the placement of white triangle. So if we notice the white triangle, it rotates counterclockwise 270 degrees and then a small movement of 45 degrees, then 270 again, and then 45. So in the fifth image, it rotated 45 degrees from its placement in fourth image. That means in sixth image, it will rotate 270 degree counterclockwise from its placement in fifth image, which will bring it exactly at the top. This is only the case in image D, hence reconfirmed that D is our answer. Next question. In this sample question, there are two types of rotation. There is a gray image overlaying the white image, which has a blue triangle, black circle, and black square. The gray image is moving clockwise 90 degrees, while the white image is moving counterclockwise around 45 degrees. So position of the gray image next in sequence will be same as that of image 2, so we can eliminate D and E. Looking at the white image, it will move 45 degrees counterclockwise, so that would be image B. Also to note that the circle and rectangle always show up on the pointed end of the triangle, which has the 90-degree angle. Hence, the correct answer is B. Now, an important call out, I previously made a video on entire SHL test where I break down each section in detail, not just the inductive reasoning, but other parts of the SHL test as well. I highly recommend you check it out as part of your preparation. Next sample question. The black square moves anti-clockwise around the diagram, firstly by 1, then by 2, then by 3, then by 4, and so on. The two squares in the bottom left and top right corner switch their colors between gray and white unless they are covered by the black square. Therefore, in the correct answer, the black square should be in the bottom right corner and the two squares in bottom left and top right have to be white, giving B as the correct answer. Next question. Here we need to go in reverse from the image on the right to the left in order to find a pattern. In each image there are three shapes. The trend is that the outside shape moves in to take the second place in the next image. So the parallelogram is the outermost shape. Let's call it placement 3. It takes up middle placement in the second image from right to left. Then in the second image, the outer shape is a circle, which in the third image from right to left takes up middle or second placement. Now, since in the fourth image from right to left, the outer shape is triangle, we know that triangle will move to take the middle spot, which is only in the case of option A. Another trend to verify our option is that in each subsequent image from right to left, the innermost image moves out to take the spot of the outmost image in the next image in the sequence from right to left. So the correct answer is A. Now, one important help needed, which is before we move forward, in case you find any value from this video, please press the like button. This keeps me motivated. And more importantly, please subscribe to the channel as well. On this channel, I post content pertaining to how you can achieve success in your career. So if that topic is of interest to you, this channel is right for you. Next sample question. Watch the lower half of the figure. It's swinging from left to right like a pendulum. It goes from left, then to the middle, then to the right and back again. So it's moving side to side in a repeating cycle. Now focus on the cross and the dot. As the whole figure moves downward, these two are also moving. And here's the key. At some point, the dot and the cross pass each other, like they switch places as the movement continues. If you follow both of these patterns, the swinging lower half and the moment where the dot and cross paths, the only option that fits everything is option B. Now, the second type of questions that you can expect are matrix questions. These involve a grid of shapes. One piece is missing and you need to figure out the logic across the rows and columns to find it. They can be tricky at first, but once you get the method, they'll be totally doable. And here are a few examples. Moving on to the next sample question. Here we will need to find a relation between the images at the bottom and the images at the top. One relation is that the number of stars at the bottom shapes correspond to the number of sun at the shapes on the top. Second relation is that the number of arrows at the bottom images correspond to the number of lines at the images in the top line. So there are 3 arrows in the first column in the bottom shape. Then if we look at the top shape in the first column, we see 3 lines as well. You can verify this across each column. Let's pick one more column. Let's say fourth column has 2 arrows in the bottom image, and hence we see 2 lines in the top image. Now this brings us to our question mark shape. One, it has to have 2 suns since the bottom shape has 2 stars. This means we can eliminate B and E. Second, it has to have 1 line since there is only 1 arrow in the bottom shape, which means from A, C and D our answer is D, as that is the only image which has 1 line. Next sample question. Here the trend that is traceable is that the image in the 2 row has same number of shapes as the image in the bottom row. As an example, we have 2 shapes in first columns. So first column we have sun and arrow in the first image, and then moon and 2-sided arrow in the bottom. For the third column we have 2 triangle in the top one and 2 arrow shapes in the bottom one. Then for fourth column we have 2 shapes at the top and 2 shapes at the bottom, and for the last image we have 1 shape at the top and 1 shape at the bottom. So the question mark needs to have 3 shapes since we have 3 shapes in the bottom image. The only image or option with 3 shapes is D. Next question. This sequence starts in the top left corner and goes from left to right. Once at the rightmost position in the row, the sequence continues in the leftmost position in the row below. In this sequence, the triangle firstly moves by 1 position clockwise along the edges of the diagrams, then moves by 2, 3, 4 and so on. The square in the middle has a sequence of being black for the first 2 diagrams, then random non-black colors for the next 2 diagrams, and then returns to black for another 2 diagrams and so on. There are always 2 arrows in the diagrams too. Therefore, A is the correct answer. Next sample question. The best approach here is to work with the number of the shapes in each box, since there is no clear pattern with regards to the occurrence of the shapes in each box. What I see here is that across the sequence, the number of squares and circles is always the same in each diagram, giving E as the correct answer. Last sample question. Let's start by picking one shape and finding a standard and/or common behavior for that shape across all blocks. Here I pick the moon shape first. If we notice one thing that is constant is that there is always a moon shape in each of the blocks in the top left and top bottom corner, which means we can eliminate option A as it doesn't have a moon shape on its bottom right corner. Similarly, we can eliminate B and D, so we are left with C and E. Now let's look at the sun shape. Note across all blocks there is always a sun shape or symbol in the middle of the box, so we can eliminate C. Hence we are left with only E as the final option or answer. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully after watching this video, you now have a better understanding of how the SHL inductive reasoning test works and how to tackle the questions. Good luck with your test.